Welcome to the Marketing for Writing Coaches show. In this program, I sit down with the best experts who share their secrets so that you, the writing coach, can build up a reliable marketing strategy without the overwhelm. My name is Anne and I am your host. Today, I'm very happy to welcome on the show Debbie Gonzales. Hi, Debbie.
Happy to be here.
Deb is a certified Pinterest marketing specialist, an author and an educator. She has written 7 children's books and she's also the host of Guides by Deb, a website with over 300 educator guides for all genres. Thank you so much. Welcome, Debbie. Thank you so much. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm so happy to be with you tonight. Tonight for
Yes.
me, morning for you.
Very early morning for me, yes. Hey, but that's the purpose of this show. We get the best experts in and we adapt to the schedule of the best experts. Because you are really, not only do you have a thing or two to share with us about Pinterest, but on top of that, you are someone who really knows the book industry. So I don't think we could have found anyone better to talk us about Pinterest today. And let's dig deep. Let's dig into it right from the start. How did you come to focus on Pinterest?
Well, that's a very interesting question. In 2019, I found out about Pinterest and I hired a marketing specialist to promote my teacher guides on Pinterest. All of my teacher guides are academically sound. They have content, all very, very solid content that really goes well on Pinterest. And also at the time, I was launching my picture book. I have a picture book called Girls with Guts, The Road to Breaking Barriers and Bashing Records. And I'm very interested in learning how to do digital marketing over book festivals and that sort of thing. I just wanted to market from my home. So I looked into Pinterest. I hosted a podcast and that I promoted my podcast on Pinterest. And I also use Pinterest to develop my newsletter, to get leads for my newsletter. So I began to be interested with it with my marketing specialist and really enjoyed it. So I thought, gosh, I wonder if I could do something like this. So she mentored me for a year and enjoyed. And then, you know what, the pandemic hit. And I thought, you know what, I'm not going anywhere. I really enjoy this Pinterest. I'm going to lean in and build a business. And I did. I am now the founder of Pinlit Marketing, and it's a Pinterest marketing agency. And I work with authors and illustrators and publishers and booksellers to help them get their books on Pinterest.
Wow, that's an inspiring story. And what I really like in your story is that by twice you mentioned much you enjoy Pinterest. Because I think if there's one secret in marketing, you have to do something that you enjoy. Otherwise, you're not going to keep it until the end.
There's so many things I love about Pinterest. There's just every day I'm learning something new. Primarily, my main reason why I love it so much is the marketing focus is not about me. It's about my audience. So I strategize with my clients and myself to discover ways to meet our audience's needs. What can we put on the platform that will inspire them, educate them, encourage them, and then build relationships with them so it's authentic. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love. Yeah, I absolutely love that. But I'm going to be very honest here with you, Debbie. For me, when you talk Pinterest, I think recipes or looking for decorations idea for my wedding, or I'm moving houses. So how does one go around as a writing coach to publish and promote services on Pinterest?
Absolutely. I have actually had the privilege of working with 2 writing coaches too. So I do have experience in this area. You have to think about Pinterest as being a search engine. And Pinterest is actually partnered with Google. So that when you do searches in Google, your boards will come up. So primarily people come to Pinterest with a need. They might want to write that novel, write your first novel, writing a children's book. How do I write about a children's book? How do I get my book published? These questions, they come into Pinterest and they type those in the search bar, and then a savvy marketer has looked at their content from all kinds of angles in Pinterest. And then in that search, your content will come up. And then the thing about a Pinterest user, there's a saying that Kate All from Simple Pin Media says about Pinterest users. She said Pinterest is like the library and Instagram is like the bar. So you think about it, when people go to the library, you walk into the library with something in mind. You might be coming in to find a thesaurus of some sort. You might be looking for some sort of research for your setting for your book. So you're coming into the library looking for something. And you're going to walk around and you're going to look and you're going to kind of stroke the books and pick up a couple and look at them. Now, if you go to the bar, you're coming to socialize. You're coming to be a little loud. You're coming to hear music and laughter. And, there's nothing wrong with either setting. You're just coming for different purposes. And if a Pinterest user is very consistent and posts regularly, whether it's once a week, twice a week. With my clients, we post every single day, sometimes 2 or 3 pins every day. The more you do, Pinterest is like a hungry lizard or hungry dragon, just wants more and more and more and more, so we just give it to them.
Oh yeah, that's every social media again. But reassure me, if I am a writing coach and I'm starting out, I don't need to publish every day on Pinterest. I can get some results, significant results, I would say, by, like to say, publishing 1 pin or 2 pins.
You can do 1 pin or 2 pins a week. A suggestion would be to maybe on a Saturday afternoon, make a few pins, and you can schedule those pins on Pinterest. So you don't have to sit there every single day.
Yeah.
You can schedule them out. So say I have written a blog post about some sort of literary analysis, maybe a character analysis that I've done or something. So I write a blog post about that, and I might make 3 or 4 pins about that blog post, and then I can schedule those out. So I don't have it. It can be as time consuming as you want it to be, or not.
Yes, that's that is always. But here we are all about not making sure it's not overwhelming and that it helps to get some traction to the to our services. But another question I have as well is we hear about Facebook and Instagram, that it's losing a little bit of his momentum, that it's getting more and more difficult. What about Pinterest? Is that something that people are actually going to use in the long run? Or is that another kind of fad where you have to be really present now because you don't know what is going to happen tomorrow?
I can speak from my experience because I've been on it for quite some time. Your pins, when you make a pin, it becomes evergreen. And that means it never, ever goes away. So some of my clients that I worked with 2 or 3 years ago, we worked very hard to make certain that their platform represents everything about them, everything about their books, everything about their philosophy, and make sure that when people come to their platform, they can know who they are. And then, you know what? They're done. They're not pinning anymore. But if they want to, they can put just a tiny bit of money on it, maybe $2 a day for a week, 2 weeks, and it generates that interest again on Pinterest. But a Pinterest platform will last forever. It never goes away. It's fantastic. It never goes away.
And it never goes away, but it means that people can still see it, or after a while it just
your pins
the social media bin
are all categorized with SEO. So your pins are categorized in okay, say for instance, once again, I'm working with a writing coach, and they're really, really strong on outlining. That's their jam. They really believe in outlining. So we will do a lot of content about outlining, do examples, maybe case studies that they've done, maybe outline books or whatever. Do a whole bunch about outlining. Leave it out there. Okay, 2 years, 3 years down the road, somebody comes to Pinterest and they want to know about outlining. They'll put in outlining, how to outline or how to outline a character. And those pins will come up because they have been categorized so well. I have a pin that's just amazing. I think I may have told you about this one. It's so funny. I pinned it when I very first started. It was for a teacher guide about a book that is about the Grand Canyon. And it's about a little girl and going through the Grand Canyon, and she sees the petroglyphs and there's donkeys and all that sort of thing. Well, I posted that before the pandemic. Well, when the pandemic hit, there was a big burst of people getting RVs and traveling all around the United States and going to see the Grand Canyon. Well, that pin that had been dormant for like 2 years went viral. It went viral.
Oh, wow. That's
and
amazing.
It was just a pin that I had put out there, and it had good content. It had content that somebody could come and hit that pin and then download a little activity, buy that book. And how fun would it be to take that book on a trip with you? Yeah.
Oh, that is an amazing story. I will put the link to this pin of Deb in the show notes, so that if you want to go see that pin on
Absolutely.
The canyon,
Please do that. It'll make it go viral again. That'd be fantastic.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so I'm convinced. I'm not at all on Pinterest, but I'm a writing coach. I want to go on Pinterest. How do I start?
First of all, you start at thinking about your audience first. And as a writing coach, I'm sure your listeners understand that a writer thinks about the reader more than themselves. And you know that sometimes people do what's called data dumps, where an author will come in and say a whole bunch about what they believe or what they see or whatever, and then you take that out because that's really not serving the audience. Thing about Pinterest is you think about your audience. How can I best serve my audience? Then we build a platform, and we begin with your optimized bio. And we look at you very closely, and we just find all kinds of SEO to describe you. And then we build some boards. And the boards are around categories that you represent. Now, I do boards for my authors that are their books, and we do a lot with their books, but when we look at their books, we look at how somebody's going to be served by that book. So it might be a book about, for instance, there's an adorable author that we're working right now, and she's got a sweet, sweet book about babies that don't go to sleep. It's adorable. So I can meet the reader's needs by being thinking about a frustrated mom who cannot get her baby to go to sleep. And that's the angle that we come at. So we look at your content and we come in that way. So we build your platform, your boards, and then we start putting out our pins. And we put pins are like little cards that go into boards, and boards are like little baskets. And then we categorize it, and it takes off.
So if you take an example for the writing coach, so for example, you have the writer who deals with writing block.
Exactly.
On the writing coach Pinterest board, we will find a category writing block, and then little pins with tips that they can
and we
look
can
for.
say, we can say creatively, solve your writing block. Let me help you with your writing block. Having trouble finding ideas to write, feeling a little bit of shame, unable to write. Just some working on that emotional connection with somebody who's frustrated with their writing block. And then helping them identify with that. And then they start seeing the same pins coming from you. They're like, oh, okay. by the way, would you like to sign up for my newsletter? I'd love to get to know you. I'd love to support you. I'd love to help you. And yeah.
Oh, that is amazing, and it doesn't seem that complicated at all. Actually, it seems something that you can easily integrate in
exactly.
The marketing.
And it's and you don't have to be a cute little TikTok babe or you know. Well, I'm not either.
TikTok, that's like far away.
Exactly. So. Those days are behind me.
We will have to have another guest coming here to talk about TikTok.
Because I am not the one.
No, me either.
Oh, funny.
Okay. And so we already discussed it a little bit. Do you have any other ideas what a writing coach could pin on Pinterest? So we talk, for example, writing blog, on things that they write on their blog, or can they, for example, put book recommendations out there? Is that something that you think would be useful for a writing coach?
What would be very good is to give something to your listeners, or give something to your audience. So it might be, 3 tips to creating the best, I don't know, whatever. But something that you can actually, they have to come and get. Something that they need to download, a lead magnet of some kind. And then that really helps them. And then the other is something that's very lovely too, is to put quotes from authors that you admire. And quote cards go very, very well. And I've done them with authors and pulling quotes from their books, pulling quotes from authors that they admire, writing samples that they admire, authors that they use to teach their students with, just all kinds of stuff.
I'm really, like, this is such an amazing even experience and conversation for me, because I'm discovering things. I'm like, actually, as a writing coach, you can use Pinterest for so many things. And you're talking about, inviting people to come and look on their website. So I'm a writer, I go on Pinterest, I find this pin. I click on the pin, and then it can immediately take me to the lead magnet
Absolutely.
On the website?
It does. And here's something that I really find after I have the privilege of working with people for a bit of time. They begin to think in a different way about marketing. It's not scary. It's not seedy or gimmicky. If it was, I can't do it. I can't do that kind of thing. It really is something that you are sincerely coming to help other people. And then in the end, by being so helpful, they come to you. And they do.
Especially don't have the impression today that there are many writing coaches really leveraging the power of Pinterest. Many of them are on Facebook, Instagram, the more well-known. So I guess that on Pinterest, there are not that much book writing coaches, and that it might be a good idea to get in there.
Absolutely. There are some, but they are not you. You're writing, whoever the writing coach is, you bring a different sensibility to the market. You help authors in different ways. You see things in different ways. And then you hone your vision, you hone your message as you keep continuing to make these pins. It's really fun.
Oh. Yeah, it seems to. I'm getting excited as well. I'll say, I really need to look into that a little bit more. But it's not one of the inconveniences with Pinterest, the fact that you have your pin and you can only use it on Pinterest. Is there another way that you can use your content or your pin?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a type of pin that's called an idea pin. And it's a little longer. Oh. It's more like a size of a Instagram reel. In fact, some of my clients that have very, very active presence on Instagram, we take their reels and use those as idea pins.
So a reel is
a reel is like video, a little video. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Just to make sure for those who are not that involved in Instagram, what we're talking about.
What people do too with their pins is you can take your pin and upload it on Facebook as a graphic and then link it to your website
Okay.
and put a little something on there. So yes, you can repurpose these pins.
Okay, so you can take the pin, use it elsewhere, and it doesn't
They-
necessarily go links to your Pinterest.
Absolutely.
It
A lot of
directly
people
goes to your
use them
website.
embedded in their blog posts. So it can be an example of your blog post. Oftentimes they
Oh,
put them on their websites as a carousel to show. So yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, there's lots of possibilities to reuse
Absolutely.
the content.
Nothing
that
is
put
wasted.
on Pinterest. Yes, I see that. I'm discovering a whole new world here. I'm someone who's always very data based. So what about Pinterest? Do we have analytics, data, metrics? Like, do we have a concrete way to see, okay, I have been posting for example, 6 months, 1 or 2 pins every week. Is it bringing any success or not?
Yes, there are a number of ways to look at it. There are plenty of analytics. One is called Author Insights, and you can come in, no, not Author Insight, Audience Insight. I'm talking to authors. Audience Insights, when you access Audience Insights, you can see the ages of the people who have come to your platform. You can see the devices that they've used when they come to your platform. We can see the gender that comes to your platform. We can see their preferred content on their platform. We can see where they live, whether it's international or within the States. That's the audience insights. In the standard analytics, you can see what are called impressions, and impressions are how many times people have seen your pins. You can see engagements, and you can see this on an overall view of your platform, as well as boards, your board activity, what your top boards are, and also your top pins. You can access information if your pins have been clicked through to your website. You can see saves. So yes, all kinds of information.
So all the information you want, you can get it.
Yes, you can.
Through Pinterest.
And after a couple months, I was just going to say, after a couple of months, you can look on the platform and you can see what your audience is liking, and then give them more.
Give them more of what they want.
Why not?
And what is for you considered to be a successful campaign? So I'm thinking about the writing coach who's watching this, not on Pinterest, decided to go on there. After how many months, or it's always difficult to give a precise number. Of course, I'm completely realistic about it. But at which point do you as a writing coach say, okay, this is not a successful campaign, I have to change something, or this is a successful campaign and I have to continue doing
So much of it depends on the individual's goals. If they come to the platform with the mindset of building a library of their services, that's a success. Now, typically it takes about 3 to 4 months of consistent content to see some sizable activity. We can also, much like when you're working with the coaches are working with their clients, sometimes if your content doesn't have voice, it may not be resonating. And that's something to look at too. We can look at, this one, we've looked at this particular content from all angles and it's not moving. Maybe it's not what our people want. But this content is moving. Let's do more of this. Let's build this out. Let's look from another angle. Not only with the verbal content of it, the text, but with our images too. Maybe do we need to do more quotes, or maybe do we need to do more images, more video images of people walking in the grass or something like that. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can do collage pins, video pins, text overlays. I mean, so much. Oh.
Wow, I'm really discovering a new world. So, but basically after 3 months, if you consistently post, like say once or twice per week, you should
Oh
have
yeah,
some momentum. If you don't, there is to go back, see your data, see what is going on, and to adapt
absolutely,
your strategy
absolutely,
a little bit more.
absolutely. It's great.
Yeah, no, but it is. It seems a very like thing to play
Uh-huh.
around with, right?
Yeah.
I can see where your motivation comes from to talk about and to work with Pinterest. Um, a last question, maybe a little bit controversial, but Pinterest, is it not just for women? Like, if you want to address a more inclusive public and you want to work, for example, with men as well, is Pinterest really
Absolutely.
a good
It's for men
social
and for
media
women because it's
channel
about
for them?
content. It's about answering
Okay.
questions. It's about meeting people's needs. And
Mm,
now, if you are trying to maybe attract a different, maybe a man over a woman type thing, okay, for instance, I had a client, wonderful guy. I love him so much. He's from South Africa. He wrote, we had a great time for a whole year. I hated that when that year was over. He wrote books about African action and adventure, great stories about
oh.
pirates and stuff like that, but adult, very adult actually. So his pins had rustic boats that had capsized and had a lot of African nature type stuff. And it was very, very manly images. And also his branding, that's the other thing, branding. His branding were darker colors. It was blacks and rusty browns and yellow. And so that was our approach with him. But then on the other hand, I have a lovely picture book writer who is just as delicate as can be. She's written books about wildflowers. So we're not going to do the same thing for my African adventure guy that we do the
No.
wildflower gal. But yeah, oh, definitely.
So it's really adapting your branding, your coloring, your pins to the kind of
hmm
audience that
And I
you're
would
looking for.
invite your listeners to
Okay.
just pop on Pinterest, jump into the search bar, and just look around. Put in African adventure, African fiction, African adventure stories, and see what comes up. Or put in mysteries and see what comes up. You're going to, all that you're really, a variety of topics.
Yes, so you heard it. That for those who are watching this and listening this, you have a task to do here. Go on
You have
Pinterest and
homework
search.
now.
A very, very, very last question, because I feel we could continue talking about this for like ages. But can you share with our viewers and listeners one most valuable question that you have learned as an entrepreneur?
What I've learned,
Yeah, one of your most valuable lessons you learned as an
authenticity.
entrepreneur. I love that
Authenticity.
word, authenticity. Yeah.
Authenticity. Yes. Yes. Particularly as authors, and I've been around a long time, we are so anxious to sell our book. And I think if we go beyond that and think about communicating and connecting, then we're going to do more than just sell our service once. We're going to build a relationship. And I think, if anything, that's what working with Pinterest has taught me and encouraged me to continue to do, is that marketing can be sincere. It can be authentic.
I totally agree with you on
And
that one.
I'm promoting myself, but I'm not, because I'm really reaching out to somebody else. And I can do that. That I can do.
Oh, thank you so much for this last word of wisdom, Debbie. Now the concrete details. If we want to learn more about you and see concretely how you work with your authors, where can we find you?
You can go to pinletmarketing.com or debbiegonzales.com and jump in there and sign up for my newsletter. I do a newsletter twice a month and talk about Pinterest tips and that sort of thing. And then from time to time, I host free coffee chats. I'm to just talking to people about Pinterest, talking about their platforms and what they might enjoy. So I do a lot of free opportunities. And then if anybody listening here would like for me to ever talk to them about anything, I'm happy to.
That is.
I love to talk about Pinterest.
Yes, I think we realized that, and this was such a treat for all of us, Debbie. I really learned so much, and I'm sure that my writing coaches have learned so much as well. So thank you again very
I
much
hope so.
for having accepted my invitation. So this is it. If you like this episode and you want to be sure not to miss the next one, don't forget to subscribe for the weekly newsletter for writing coaches. You will find the link in the comments. Have a great day. Thanks again, Deb, and see you soon. Bye bye.
You bet. You bet. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.